Hey guys, how's it going? Prepared here. Today I'm going to talk to you guys about the flasks. Now, I've shown you guys what flasks I use on my wand character, but I haven't really gone in depth as to why and what I hope to achieve with them, and as to how the best way to get these kind of flasks is. Like, getting these kind of flasks, getting these perfect flasks, is not an easy thing to do. The first thing you want to do is start collecting the materials required. Eventually, you're going to need some glassblower baubles. Now, one thing I like to do is, in the late game, if I find like a Quicksilver, or if I find a potion, I have a lot of transmutations that I can just use. So if I find a white hollowed life flask, or if I find a blue one, I'll pick it up, and if I find one, I'll transmute it, stuff like that, just so I can get one of the two mods that I want. I want a Seething Hollowed Life Flask of Heat for my instant heals, and a Surgeon's Hollow Life Flask of Warding for curse removal and heal over time. And the thing is, to get this exact prefix with this exact suffix is, sometimes going to take a while. What you can do is you can get a blue flask by getting a white one with quality. So, I have a few here. I normally pick up all of these. Superior Hollow Life Flask. This is 8%. So, if this is the best one I found, I would do this process around level 50, when I could use these flasks. If this is the best Hollowed Life Flask, the white one in terms of quality, I could up it using 3 baubles, because on a white item, a bauble will give 5% quality, so I can bring that up to 20% quality, and then I can use a transmutation, and then I can proceed to use a bunch of alterations on it. That's one method. That works. You're going to need the baubles, and I'll show you guys in a minute how to get those most effectively. But the other, is to continue just transmuting them, because transmutes are fairly worthless, or just picking up all the blue ones, and when you find the exact one you want, you can just use 10 of these, because on a blue item it only gets 2% quality. The quality is important because that's more healing that you're going to want. Now, when it comes to my flasks, it's not a big deal, because there's set mods. So Seething is one mod, there's no variation. And the same is with that flask as well. But when it comes to like a Quicksilver Flask, because I want a Surgeon of Adrenaline, Adrenaline has a range of 20 to 30. That's 11 possibilities. And, even though I might get this exact prefix, this exact suffix, I still have a 1 in 11 chance of getting the exact one that I want. So it's much harder to get this kind of flask. So with this kind of flasks, I'm much more likely to use stuff like transmutations, because of the difficulty in getting a perfect one. And when I get that perfect one, I can try to bauble it up. And if it's not perfect, someone will probably buy it. They'll probably have some excess baubles as well. That's the kind of idea on how to get these prefixes and suffixes, the ones that you're looking for. So now, how do you get the baubles? Well, you get the baubles by doing what I do. I pretty much pick up any superior flask I find. You see this one's 5 quality, this one's 8 quality. If you get a sum of 40 and you go to the vendor, you will get 1 bauble for that. So, eventually, by the time I'm in the mid-50s, by the time I do this process, I can typically get all of my flasks, or maybe 4 out of the 5 to 20 quality, using the base white flask. And then I can try to improve that in the next maybe 10 levels. But it's very important to do this right when you get the max level flasks, which is level 53 for health pots. But if you get a granite or a Quicksilver earlier, Quicksilver 6, granites are in the 20s, go ahead and use your baubles, whatever you have at the time, before you roll it, if possible. The other way you get baubles is obviously just finding them in the game, but the third way, that is a little bit less known, is to use these Blacksmith Wet Stones. So for some classes, the Wet Stones are quite valuable. They're still quite valuable to most people, because they can get Wisdom Scrolls for them. 1 Blacksmith Wet Stones gives 4 Wisdom Scrolls. But one thing that you can do is you can go to the Act 3 vendor. He actually sells the glassblower baubles. A lot of people don't know about this. So you can use them directly for the baubles if you need them at that point in time. Right now, if you're playing just hardcore, or if you're playing default, probably a lot of people have baubles laying around, and they'll maybe just trade you for them. But in a race situation, in like a week race or something like that, it might be a lot more difficult to get the ones you want. And you might have to just buy them from the vendor, like I did when I was on my first way up. So that's really what it is there. Now, the really important part that I haven't really discussed is why I have these 5 flasks exactly. So I have made my spec in a way that I don't need a mana pot. you guys have to keep that in mind. You know, when people, you know, kind of make a spec, it's like, oh, well, they don't really calculate the mana efficiency. They don't really think about the resource management. But if your resource management is perfect, you gain huge flexibility. So in my case, I have so much mana regeneration. I don't even have clarity on. I don't have discipline. You know, my mana regeneration is at 52. Here I can go to the laboratory to show you guys. So I can use discipline to up my mana pool because of Eldritch Battery. My mana regen is now 92.7, and then I can use clarity. Bam, 166 mana regen, and that allows me to use a spell that I do almost twice a second for 93 mana. You know, I can just spam this. I might lose some mana, but I mean, look at that. Pretty much dead on. So to get this, you have to do some planning. But if you do that, it allows you to use another potion slot because you don't need a mana. So because of that, I have my regular Quicksilver. With my build, I have huge crit. I have like 40 crit when I have my charges up. So this is the best one by far because, you know, I can do a chain volley, get a ton of charges from critting, and that's why I picked this for all of them but the instant flask. The instant flask, I can't do that because the instant property on the flask is a prefix, and so is the charge recovery. So I get my Quicksilver, and because I have my mana pool managed, I can use an additional Granite Flask. So I use a Granite Flask with Iron Skin. This is for just, you know, huge bonus to armor, and this one is warding for curse immunity. Because in many cases when the mobs do vulnerability on hit, or when there's necros that just like spam a certain kind of weakness, you can use this flask because of its curse removal property exclusively for that property. So for 4.8 seconds I have curse immunity, even though I don't need the armor in that particular case. And because I gain so many charges from critting, I can just literally use this flask specifically for that reason. I have this one to help with it as well, because the Hollowed Life Flasks only take 10 charges to use, as opposed to the granites, which take 30. So this one I can just spam to get rid of a curse that, you know, is cast on me in a rare occasion. But, you know, in other cases where they spam it, you'd want to use the granite. That's kind of my thought process in this case. I really like the potion system, and I think you guys should really try to invest in it on your character. I'm going to show you guys a few more things here. There are some critical potions. I'll bring up the screenshot here. Some critical potions that you can be using. This is the list on the website that goes over all the possible prefixes, all the possible suffixes. The level corresponds to the item level of the flask, but obviously, you know, when I mentioned in terms of rerolling flasks, you know, just do it for your 53s. You don't need to reroll your early ones that much, so don't worry about the item level requirement here. So as you can see in terms of the prefixes on the left, you can see that there's the range on some of these things, and there's you know, some interesting things here. All the prefixes include the charge recovery things. So perpetual gives more charges recovered. You can get surgeons, which almost all the way at the bottom there, which is what I use, and you can get ample, which gives you a larger number of charges. Ample on a health pot is very good because a health pot only consumes 10 charges, so it being ample, if you get a perfect roll, you can use it 2 more times. So that's a very big deal in some cases, because, you know, you want to use that one on a character that you know, you wouldn't need to pot often, but when you did, you'd have to pot consecutively. So ample would be for that reason. Perpetual would be for a character who uses like Resolute Technique or has very low crit, because you know, you're not going to use surgeons, you're not going to crit very much, so you want more charges, you want to use it more often, but you're using it at a steady rate. In that case, you'd use Perpetual. And in some cases, you know, a lot of people spec Blood Magic, but they don't really know what they're doing with their potions. For Blood Magic characters, you'd want to get the Sapping. See, local life flask to recover percent. Basically, it improves the flask by 60%, and it takes 10% away from your mana. But your mana with Blood Magic is not converted, it's removed. So you actually don't lose anything. You just gain 60% more healing from a potion with a Sapping mod if you're Blood Magic. So that's a huge deal. If you're Blood Magic, you want a few instant pots and a few sapping pots. That is the absolute best prefix in that case. There are a few variations of the instant pots. You know, I use Seething, which is 100% instant. I like to use Seething because I also use a regular potion, so a regular potion to heal me over time. but some people don't really need the potion to heal them over time. They have like life regen or something. So in that case, you can use an instant pot and a bubbling pot, because the bubbling pot does part instant, part heal over time, and the heal over time component is pretty sizable as well. It's pretty close to a regular potion, but it's very short. So you can think about that as well. So that's really it in terms of the prefixes. There's like the panicked stuff, but I don't really recommend that. There's a few bad ones in there. As for the suffixes, suffixes are usually bonus effects to your character during the effect. Now these effects drop off when the potion drops off. So if you're at full life and use a health pot that has curse removal, it'll remove the curse, but it won't give you the immunity for any period of time because the potion has expired immediately. So, in that particular case, when you're using warding, which I don't actually see there, that's pretty interesting, I thought it was there, but I think warding may actually be one of the only new ones. So when you're using like a warding flask, which is the curse removal, it's not going to be very effective unless you're getting the heal over time, in which case you may want to stick the warding bonus on your granite, or in some cases you can stick it on your Quicksilver Flask, because Quicksilver Flask actually lasts longer than granites, but the movement speed may not be as attractive as a bonus compared to the armor bonus when needing curse removal. So that's really the important stuff. There's a lot of random stuff in the suffix category. I do recommend that you have some kind of freeze dispel on your character if you don't have a freeze immunity item. But aside from that, you can pretty much pick whatever you want. There's some specialty stuff in there, for instance, the leech is pretty good. The armor percent is really good when you're using it on a granite flask because it multiplies the current amount on the granite flask. And stuff like local healing to minion heals your minions. So if you're like a pet class, maybe you'd want animation on most of your flasks. You kind of want to think about that stuff, but you kind of want to think about this stuff with creating the spec. That's really my main goal, is to give you guys that message. When you're coming up with a spec, the spec is not just the skill tree. The spec is, what do you use in terms of skills? How does your gear look like? What do your potions look like? Your potions are the ones that are going to save you from death. Your overall build, your overall character is going to, pretty much create the pace, create the kind of playstyle for your character. But when you're in that near-death situation, you have to prepare for that, because that's the most important thing when playing hardcore. And I hope you guys keep that in mind when making your future builds, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.